welcome to the deep dive. Today, you've brought us some really interesting stuff. Looks like interview questions for assistant engineers and some background on the role.
Yeah, exactly. We've got these interview questions plus a bit of an overview of what the job involves and, what employers are looking for.
Okay, so our mission today is to really unpack this, understand what it takes to be a successful assistant engineer, maybe some challenges, career paths, that kind of thing.
That's the plan. And this should be useful whether you're actually thinking about this career, or maybe you work with assistant engineers, or maybe you're just curious about how these engineering teams actually work.
Right.
We're basically pulling out the key bits from these documents, saving you the trouble, giving you the fast track to understanding this role.
Sounds good. So we'll structure it a bit. Maybe start with why someone gets into this.
Yeah.
Then look at the qualities they need.
Yep. Motivation, key qualities, what makes someone stand out, future challenges too, managing pressure.
Okay. And practical skills, experience, growth. Got it. So let's jump in. Why become an assistant engineer? What's the draw?
Well, looking at these interview answers, one person mentioned this, like lifelong thing with how stuff works, taking things apart, putting them back together.
That classic tinkerer impulse. I get that.
Yeah, a real hands-on curiosity. And it seems pretty fundamental for a lot of engineers.
And it wasn't just like a hobby, right?
Yeah.
This person got a mechanical engineering degree, University of Colorado Boulder. That's serious grounding.
Definitely.
Right.
And then the practical stuff seems to have really solidified it for them. They mentioned uni labs, but also an internship with a big oil and gas company.
Ah, okay. So that real world exposure must have been pretty significant.
Oh, for sure. I mean, moving from the textbook to actually doing it in a professional setting, that would really show you if it's the right fit. It probably confirm the passion, sharpen the skills.
So you've got the curiosity, the education. What are the absolute must-have qualities for a successful assistant engineer? What really makes them good at the job?
Okay, several things pop out from the materials. First, and this seems huge, is attention to detail.
Right.
It's really emphasized, especially, they mention, in like a studio context. Even tiny mistakes can apparently cause big problems.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like in audio engineering, one bad connection or something.
Exactly. It could throw off a whole session. So it's not just seeing the big picture, it's managing all those little pieces perfectly.
Okay, meticulousness. Got it. The interview material also mentions creativity and innovation. Now, for an assistant, that sounds maybe a bit surprising.
Well, maybe at first glance, but it actually makes a lot of sense, They're not just robots following orders, they're part of the problem-solving process. They need to think on their feet, maybe suggest different ways of doing things, help the lead engineer get the sound or the result they're after. It's about contributing creatively.
And you can't really do any of that in a vacuum, can you? Communication and interpersonal skills also came up. That feels pretty universal, but maybe extra important here.
Oh, absolutely critical. Whether they're explaining something technical to an artist who might not have that background,
Right.
or coordinating with other engineers on a complex bit of kit. Clear communication is just, it's the glue holding it all together. You need to articulate ideas, listen properly, work together.
Okay, so passion, education, attention to detail, creativity, communication. That's a solid foundation.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually getting the job, what makes a candidate really stand out?
Well, one of the interviewees had a really interesting background, actually, a bit unusual, a decade in the software industry.
Software, not a traditional engineering.
Right, 10 years, moving up, plus a computer science degree from a top university. That's quite different from someone who's only ever worked in, say, mechanical engineering.
I wouldn't have immediately thought of that.
Yeah.
How does that software experience help?
Well, think about it. Debugging complex code, managing different versions of software, those skills in logical thinking, systematic problem solving, tracking changes, they're actually super transferable.
I see. So managing complex engineering projects, keeping track of design changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. That deep understanding of process, structure, maybe even familiarity with certain software tools that are creeping into other engineering fields. It's a powerful combo with the formal CS education.
That's a really good point. And this candidate also mentioned being a team player, feeling confident they could contribute. That attitude must count for a lot.
Huge. Yeah. Technical skills are the baseline, right? But fitting into the team, having that positive collaborative approach, that often makes the difference between two equally qualified people. Employers want someone who will contribute positively, not just technically.
Okay, looking ahead now. What challenges might assistant engineers face down the road? The materials mentioned a few things.
Yeah, one big one seems to be keeping up with technology, specifically getting really proficient with specialized software and other production tools.
Makes sense.
Uh,
Everything's becoming more software-driven, isn't it?
Totally. Across pretty much all engineering fields, technology just doesn't stand still, so they need to be constantly learning, mastering new digital tools, new workflows. You mentioned 3D CAD earlier, that's a great example.
So using that CAD software to maybe model parts, see how they fit, that kind of thing?
Precisely. Or it could be complex audio editing software, simulation platforms, and the digital toolkit is getting bigger and more essential all the time.
And alongside keeping up with the tech, communication comes up again, doesn't it?
It does. As projects get more complex, maybe involve more people from different areas, being able to communicate clearly and work together smoothly becomes even more vital.
So it's a balancing act, really.
Yeah.
Staying sharp technically, but also honing those people skills.
Right.
Now, these roles can be high pressure, right? How do they typically deal with stress?
The interview answers gave some good strategies. One was breaking down big tasks. Instead of looking at this huge mountain of work,
Uh-huh.
chop it into smaller, manageable steps. Makes it feel less overwhelming. Plus, you get that little win each time you finish a piece.
Yeah, classic technique. Makes sense. What else?
Things like taking short breaks, maybe some deep breathing or relaxation techniques. Just stepping away for a moment and scheduling proper breaks, not just powering through.
Right, avoiding burnout. Crucial.
Definitely. Those little resets can make a big difference in staying focused and effective.
And the last point was about mindset, wasn't it? Staying positive and confident.
Exactly. Believing in your ability to handle things. That resilience can really help navigate stressful periods. It's about how you frame the challenges.
Okay. Let's shift to specific experience and skills. The materials paint a picture of someone quite well-rounded.
They do. One response mentioned broad experience in heavy industry, but also design skills across different sectors. That suggests adaptability, being able to apply core principles in new ways.
And it's not just theory. They talk about practical design for manufacturing, being involved in projects right from the start, concept, all the way to commissioning.
Yeah, that full life cycle view, from the drawing board to the real world, and then making sure it keeps working reliably afterwards. That's incredibly valuable experience.
So is a deep understanding of the whole process and specific technical skills mentored?
Proficiency in 3D CAD software came up, which is pretty standard now, like you said. Also, experience with different materials, different manufacturing methods, shows practical, hands-on knowledge.
And underneath all that tech stuff.
Are those crucial soft skills again? Communication, problem solving, teamwork. They're the essential ingredients that make it all work.
So projects don't always go smoothly. How do they approach the difficult ones, the challenging stuff?
Well, the interviewee we're looking at talked about seeing challenges as opportunities, like chances to learn and grow.
That's a great mindset. Proactive, not defensive.
Yeah, very positive way to frame it. Plus, they mentioned a can-do attitude, being willing to really dig in and work hard. That perseverance is key when things get tough.
Rolling up your sleeves and getting it done.
Exactly. And this person had actually led complex projects before, coordinating different teams, dealing with stakeholders. That shows organization, leadership potential too.
And how did they manage that complexity? Any specific strategies?
Detailed planning came up, making really thorough plans and setting realistic deadlines. That structure is vital for keeping complex jobs on the rails.
Right. Clear plan, clear timelines. Makes sense. Now, leadership. Assistant engineer sounds like a support role, but the interview asked about leadership experience.
Yeah, it did. And the answer was quite broad. Things like student council, officer positions in school, showing early initiative,
Okay.
captain of the varsity volleyball team, that's
Right.
leadership under pressure in a team setting.
Uh-huh. And then some other things. Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Bible study groups.
Right. Now, maybe not directly engineering related, but they absolutely show an ability to guide people, organize, take responsibility within a community.
I see. So it's about demonstrating those core leadership qualities, regardless of the context.
Precisely. Mission trips, service projects, teaching, it all points to initiative, communication, being able to lead and work with others. Those skills are transferable, definitely valuable in an engineering team.
Okay, so let's talk career development. For an assistant engineer wanting to move up, what are the key things to focus on?
First step, according to the material, is knowing where you need to improve. That's self-awareness.
Right. Honest assessment.
Then it's about doubling down on the technical skills. Always learning, getting better with the software, the tools, You just have to stay current.
Absolutely essential in a field that changes so fast. What else?
Networking, building connections with other professionals, getting involved in professional organizations.
So engaging with the wider industry. Why is that so important?
Well, you learn from others, you hear about new trends, new techniques, and, potential opportunities might come up through those connections. Plus, those organizations offer resources, training.
Gotcha. And the last piece of advice was about being a team player.
Yeah, simple but crucial. Offer help, be supportive. Your own growth is tied to how well you work with others and contribute to the team's success. It builds your reputation too.
So if we boil it all down, what does an assistant engineer do in a nutshell?
Okay, essentially. They're involved in the hands-on side of engineering. Designing, building, maintaining things like electrical circuits, equipment, systems.
Okay.
They might also plan and organize work, maybe direct other engineers or technicians. It's a mix of technical work and some level of oversight.
And if you're hiring one, what are the top things to look for? The essentials.
Based on all this, you want solid experience, probably in electrical engineering based on this summary. Someone who can handle varied tasks, is organized, and can work well independently, but also knows how to be part of the team.
Right. Technical competence, adaptability, organization, autonomy, and teamwork.
That sums it up pretty well.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, it's really clear that being a successful assistant engineer is, well, it's more than just knowing the technical stuff, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. That blend of technical skill, the interpersonal side, being proactive about challenges, and just committing to always learning, that's what makes the difference.
Whether they're in a recording studio or working on, heavy industrial gear, they're playing this really vital role in making things happen. Often behind the scenes, maybe?
Exactly, the unsung heroes sometimes. And it makes you think, doesn't it? With technology getting even more embedded in everything and teamwork becoming maybe more fluid and dynamic,
Uh-huh.
how is this assistant engineer role going to change? What new skills might become totally essential in, say, 5 or 10 years? Maybe advanced data skills, or even better cross-disciplinary collaboration.
That's a really interesting thought to leave people with. What will the assistant engineer of the future look like? Fascinating stuff to ponder.